Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. Today we're going to be doing another episode of Time Capsule. Today we're going to be doing my favorite albums from 1985. Hard to believe that that was 40 years ago. Now again, this series I do one video for every year. And I started a couple days ago. We did 1965, which was 60 years ago. 3 days ago we did 1975. That was a big video. That was albums that were 50 years ago. We continue the series today. We're going to be doing 1985. Now, as you can see, there are already 22 videos showing these years. Basically, I am showing you my favorite albums, the history of rock and roll. And if you go to favorite albums by year, Time Capsule and playlist, they are all there for you. But today, 1985. Now, I currently own 91 albums that came out in 1985. Not going to show you all of them, but I'm going to show you almost half. I'm going to show you 45 albums that are my favorites that came out in 1985. So without further ado, let's do it in alphabetical order. And we are going to start over here. Some of these should bring you back. Aerosmith started coming back. And they did Done with Mirrors. This is the original CD version where it was printed backwards, which I think is kind of cool. Aerosmith, Done with Mirrors. This one I bought today. I have not heard it, but I want to show it to you. Let me know what you think of this. I did some dollar CDs, and I got this one for $1 today. This is Jan Ackerman from Focus and Klaus Ogerman, who I don't know who it is, but with a symphony orchestra. I love music with a symphony orchestra with rock and roll, so I picked it up. It was only $1. It came out in 1975. I have not heard this. It's the only album here that's not officially in my database. Let's keep going. Jeff Beck, and he put out Flash. I thought it was okay, but I thought the song People Get Ready with Rod Stewart, the version, was amazing. Gets Us All in the End. That was a pretty okay album. I thought this was a really cool album. Big Audio Dynamite, their first album. This is Big Audio Dynamite. I thought this was a killer album back in the day, and I still do. E equals MC square, the bottom line. Yeah, Mick Jones did pretty good after the breakup of The Clash. We got Kate Bush and her legendary album, Hounds of Love. This is a Japanese edition, and real good. Kate Bush. Speaking of The Clash, the infamous Cut the Crap. So this was The Clash without Mick Jones. You can tell who won this battle between this album and this is Big Audio Dynamite. This album actually could have been a lot better. I did a video on this. If you go to my whole series, Treasure or Trash, there's an episode just on The Clash Cut the Crap. Phil Collins, boy, was he ubiquitous. I think he probably hit his commercial peak with this one. No Jacket Required. Pretty much, the whole album's pretty much a hit single. There you go. How about this archive release that came out in 85? Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club, 1963. Pretty cool release if you like Sam Cooke, which I certainly do. Jimmy Page, after Led Zeppelin feeling his way, gets together with Paul Rodgers. I was pretty psyched for The Firm. Thought that had the potential to be amazing. Bad Company, of course, was on Swan Song. And they did The Firm's first album. I actually thought it was pretty good. I don't think it's as great as it could have been, but I thought Radioactive was amazing and or really good. And Satisfaction Guaranteed, Midnight, Moonlight. Pretty good record. Better than the second one, that's for sure. Dan Fogelberg put out High Country Snows, another good release from Dan. Again, we're doing 1985. And Annie Haslam with a thing called Still Life with a Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. It's a decent release. Nothing urgent that you got to get, but it's pretty good. And speaking about orchestral, this came out kind of interesting. A classic case. The London Symphony Orchestra plays the music of Jethro Tull, featuring none other than Ian Anderson. Is it essential, Jethro Tull? It's definitely not. Conducted by David Palmer, which is pretty cool, now known as D. Palmer. But some pretty good stuff on here. Love that version of Elegy, one of my favorite Jethro Tull tracks. Also, they released this album that was a partial broadcast from the year before, from the Under Wraps tour. And this is Jethro Tull, the Friday Rock Show sessions, live at Hammersmith 84. My hope is that they redo Under Wraps and release some full live shows, because it shows some promise of what could have been with a lot of the songs that were on Under Wraps with the fake drums. Let's keep going as we dig into 1985 alphabetically. We got Joni Mitchell and Dog Eat Dog. I really like this album, just outside my top 10. It's kind of experimental, but it works, and I like it a lot. Then we got a double live one from Molly Hatchet. They are a killer live band, one of the great southern rock bands, hard rocking southern rock band. This double live album I always thought could have been better, but it's what's on there is still pretty good. It's got Fall of the Peacemakers, which one of my all-time favorite southern rock songs, and probably my favorite Molly Hatchet song. Van Morrison put out A Sense of Wonder. I actually think this is a really strong Van Morrison album. Really like it. Tore Down All the Rimbo. A lot of really good songs on this one. Sense of Wonder. Good record from Van the Man. Alan Parsons Project, Stereotomy. Not one of my favorite Alan Parsons albums, but Limelight is amazing. Still a good record for sure. Tom Petty, we're going to see more from him, but he released his first official live record, Pack Up the Plantation Live. I did not love this live record. I think Petty and the Heartbreakers are one of the greatest bands of all time. I'm a huge fan. Saw him many times, but this live album was a little different. Had a lot of horns, which is what he was doing at that time. So what's on here is pretty good, but it would not qualify, in my mind, for amongst the best of Petty live. The Pogues, Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. Legendary Pogues album. And there you have it. And this is a deluxe edition with bonus tracks, which is always fun. My son became a huge fan of the Pogues. Listens to them more than I do. Prince, the follow-up to Purple Rain, is this one, Around the World in a Day. I actually like this album a lot. This is a good one. Pop Life was on this one, right? And Raspberry Beret. This one's a good one, The Ladder. Good album. R.E.M., this is a deluxe edition of Fables of the Reconstruction. This is a box set that I got of that. Lots of stuff in this box. This is actually not one of my favorite of R.E.M.'s albums, but still really good. I mean, they're just a killer band. This is the one that's got Driver 8, but you got 2 CDs in here and a whole bunch of other stuff. Fables of the Reconstruction from R.E.M. And we are still in alphabetical order. Sade and the album Promise. I was going to say she. Sade to me is her, but they really are officially a band. But she's great. I think she's really cool. So different. The Sweetest Taboo, of course, was the big hit from this album. But they, quality artist. Suzanne Vega with her self-titled Suzanne Vega album. This is the one with Cracking, Marlene on the Wall. She would hit big time with Solitude Standing later on. But this is a fine record as well. And we will continue here. Willie and the Poor Boys, Bill Wyman's solo project. That was a really fun release. I really liked it. There was even a promo video that came out, had Ringo Starr at the end. And this is a solid, fun record. Is it essential? No, but when you got Jimmy Page and Chris Rea and Paul Rodgers doing, These Arms of Mine, Kenny Jones, Terry Williams, this is a fun release. And I had it on vinyl initially, and still do. And that one. So here's Bill Wyman's Willie and the Poor Boys on vinyl. We'll stick you up there. That was good fun for sure. And Neil Young, he was on Geffen, and he was releasing all these pseudo-uncommercial records, and then Geffen wound up suing him for going uncommercial. But there's a lot of good Neil Young stuff from those Geffen years that's forgotten, and this is one of them. This is called Old Ways. Is it after the Gold Rush? Is it Harvest? Is it even Harvest Moon? No, but it's a fine record. Neil Young and Old Ways on Geffen. All of those came out in 1985. Let me show you some other ones as well before we get into the top 10 on vinyl. Charlie Daniels Band, an album called Me and the Boys. Not one of the greatest Charlie Daniels Band album, but it's fine, and I had that on vinyl. American Farmer. Good, decent record from Charlie. You might think this is kind of cool. And this is George Romero's Day of the Dead soundtrack album. I do like soundtracks, especially horror movie soundtracks. So I'm a big horror movie guy, if you don't know. So I thought you might find this one kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool for sure. And let me show you this box set, which is kind of neat. The Pretty Things. This is a great cover. This is The Pretty Things Unrepentant. This is a box set, but it's only 2 CDs. And it's an excellent career summary on 2 CDs of The Pretty Things. Phil May and Dick Taylor and the rest. And it is like a hard shell box set with a nice booklet. And of course, this has been supplanted by other compilations. But back in 1985, this was pretty cool, for sure. And I still like it. This is my kind of go-to Pretty Things album. And I'll show you one other one before we get into the top 10. Or maybe a couple more. Robert Plant. I only have it as part of this box set. This is the 9 Lives box set where he redid all of his albums with bonus tracks. But in 1985, he did Shaken and Stirred. And it was actually not one of my favorite Robert Plant albums. It was kind of an experimental one and coming after the rest of his career. And I'm going to do a video on Robert Plant soon. But Shaken and Stirred was interesting, but definitely not one that I particularly love. Little by Little was a great track, but other than that, didn't do that much for me. So Robert Plant, we'll stick you over there. And what else do I got that's not top 10? This one from Wishbone Ash. A hideous album cover. A whole different direction for them. Raw to the Bone was the name of the album from Wishbone Ash. The only album they ever did with Mervyn Spence on bass and lead vocals. And this was them really doing that new wave of British heavy metal. And it's not terrible, but it's definitely not classic Wishbone Ash. So, interesting, though. We'll stick that over there as well. Okay. Now, outside the top 10, because I've been doing the top 10, a couple of viewers were like, well, what's just outside the top 10? And my answer is all of these, because I'm showing you my favorite albums from 1985. They're all good albums that I really, really like, all of them. But I guess there's a couple that are just outside the top 10. So let's make you happy. These are a step up from just the regular ones, but not the top 10-able. In alphabetical order, Nils Lofgren and Flip. And this is Secrets in the Street, which actually was a hit over across the pond like in the UK. Delivery Night. There's some really good tracks on here. It's a good Nils Lofgren album. I don't think it's phenomenally great, but it's good. Just outside the top 10. This was a really strong record. I really like this one a lot. Marillion, Misplaced Childhood. And this, of course, has the smash Kaylee, which is actually one of my favorite songs. I love that. Also, Heart of Lothian, some other ones. This is a terrific, sorry about that, terrific Marillion album. This was their 3rd album. Okay. How about Pete Townsend? I just did a video not that long ago on the solo Pete Townsend career. This is a really good solo record, White City. And that was 1985. You got Give Blood, Face to Face, White City Fighting, I Am Secure, Crashing by Design. A fine Pink Floyd. Well, Gilmore was playing with them. That's what made me think of that. A fine Pete Townsend album. And last but not least, outside the top 10, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Soul to Soul. What was this? I think this was his third solo record. He kind of expanded Double Trouble at that time, but a fine Stevie Ray Vaughan album. He would get better, but this is a real good record. Soul to Soul from Stevie Ray Vaughan. All right, guys, there is those. It is time. Drum roll. The top 10 albums from 1985 for me. How do I do it? By play. The only thing that matters when it comes to music. What are you playing? That's the stuff you love the most. At number 10, the self-titled album by Heart. It was their big comeback on a new record label. Had help with professional songwriters and stuff like that. But here's the original hype sticker from the vinyl that I kept when I got it on CD. This album was chock full of hits. If Looks Could Kill, What About Love, Never, These Dreams, amazing songs right there. Some of it is great, some of it is just okay, but it was a hugely successful album for Heart, and was happy to see them come back. Okay, at number 9, John Fogerty's great album, Centerfold. This was a big hit. Deserved it. The Old Man Down the Road, Rock and Roll Girls, Big Train from Memphis, saw it on TV, Center Field. They changed it to Vance Can Dance. Of course, it was Vance Can Dance. John Fogerty, Center Field, at number 9. At number 8, might surprise some, but I actually thought this was a mighty fine album from Bob Dylan, Empire Burlesque. And I love Tight Connection to My Heart. Has anybody seen my love? Seeing the real you at last, I'll remember you. Clean Cut Kid, Never Gonna Be Sick. Trust Yourself, Emotionally Yours, Night Comes for... Man, I love this whole album. I think it's great. It's got that 80s production. But you know what? It was the 80s. That's what it was. But it still sounds okay. And I actually saw him on tour for that album. It was pretty damn good. Speaking of which, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers come in at number 6 with Southern Accents. The big hit, that's from the vinyl, Don't Come Around Here No More, Rebel, It Ain't Nothing to Me. Tom Petty is great, was great. One of my favorite artists, actually. And it was real sad when he passed away. But this is a really good Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers album. But he wouldn't know how to make a bad album anyway. They're all really good. 10, 9, 8, 7. We're up to number 6. And Sting had gone solo. This was his first solo record, The Dream of the Blue Turtles. And I loved it. I thought this was a tremendous solo record. You know, if you love somebody, set them free. Love of the Seventh Wave. Russians. Oh my God. Children's Crusade. Just Moving Over Bourbon Street. Fortress Around Your Heart. This was a great album. Still is. Sting, The Dream of the Blue Turtles, his first solo record. Right there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Let's keep going. What is at number 5? We got Linda Thompson of Richard and Linda Thompson fame. Her solo record called One Clear Moment. Had it on vinyl. And this is a hard-to-find CD of it with some bonus tracks. Again, got that 80s kind of a sound, but some great songs on here. I played this album to death. If you never heard the song Telling Me Lies, you need to hear that. Best of Friends is another beauty. But I fell in love with all of this album. And One Clear Moment from Linda Thompson at number 5. Let's keep going. I really hope this stuff don't fall. Okay, at number 4, John Mellencamp, or on here it says John Cougar Mellencamp because he was switching over. But this is his album, Scarecrow. I think it is, to this day, by far his best album. And it is a perfect album, man. Every song on this album is great. Rain on the Scarecrow, unbelievable. That's my favorite track by him. Small Town was a big hit. Minutes to Memories, Lonely All Night, Face of the Nation, Between a Laugh and a Tear, Rumble Seat. Every damn song on this album is great. John Cougar Mellencamp, Scarecrow. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. At number 4. Let's keep going. At number 3. Yeah, I'm wearing him on Goat's Head Soup. Mick Jagger and She's the Boss. There it is. That was the CD. And, of course, I also had the vinyl, which is how I bought it when it first came out. And I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's get Nick over there. A lot of people trash this album. A lot of people said, oh, he's going pop, doesn't sound anything like the Stones. I can't stand when people say that because that's the whole idea of going solo. He doesn't sound anything like the Stones, and that was the point of it. I think She's the Boss is a fine album. It does suffer from that 80s production. But, Lonely at the Top is the only song Keith Richards has a credit on there. It doesn't sound anything like the Stones. Half a Loaf, Hard Woman was the ballad. He did a different version of it with the Hooters that he's never released except in other countries as a single. It wasn't available here in America with that great computer animated video. Just Another Night was the first single. I thought it was okay, not the best single. Lucky in Love, great track. It's a fine record. Even the title track makes me smile and dance around. She's the Boss is really good for what it is. Just a fun album from Mick Jagger having a good time outside of the Stones, and that was the whole point of it. And yep, I played that album to death. It was my number 3 album of the year. And he also did this full-length promo video, a mini movie, actually kind of a movie, using the songs from She's the Boss. It was called Running Out of Luck. This is a laser disc of that movie. I also have it on VHS. Again, it's got that 80s sound. You got to put it in perspective from 1985. But I actually kind of enjoyed it. What can I tell you? What's up at we're up to number 2. What's the number 2 album of the year? Best album of the year in 1985 for me? It was the Waterboys. This is when I was really getting into them. This is the C. I think it's still their best album. I love this album. The Hole of the Moon and Spirit. And The Pan Within, one of my favorite songs of all time. Medicine Bow, another one. Old England, Be My Enemy, Trumpets. This is the C. This is, in my opinion, the Waterboys at their best. And it was then my number 2 album of the year from 1985. Number 1 album of the year, what's it going to be? It's actually Dire Straits and Brothers in Arms. And I had it on vinyl when it first came out. Right there. And then I had the original CD. And then we got the remastered CD. And if that's not enough, I even got the 20th anniversary in 5.1 surround sound. So what's the deal with Brothers in Arms? So here's the thing. This is the album that everybody can make fun of now. One of my favorite movies is Shaun of the Dead. Remember the scene where they're defending their house from the zombies, and they find vinyl records, and they start throwing vinyl records at the zombies. And before they throw them, they're like, how about this one? Yeah, you can throw that one. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms? Oh, yeah, throw that one. It was a great scene. It was really, really funny. The fact of the matter is, this album was not a sellout. Mark Knopfler did not go commercial. This album is the same kind of Dire Straits as the ones before there. Very uncommercial, very moody, very heavy. So why was it such a big hit? Because it was Synchronicity in 1985. Actually, in fact, so the first single from this album, and you're probably not going to remember this, was So Far Away, the first song on the album. It wasn't a hit. And when the album came out here in the United States, it did what every other Dire Straits album came out, hit the lower charts, mid-charts, and then started fading away. And the single So Far Away did nothing. What happened was they did that amazing video for the big classic, of course, Money for Nothing, and MTV played it to death. It was a great video. In fact, I think it was the first video on MTV over in Europe. And it became a huge hit. And of course, Sting got a co-writing credit. It's like the only Dire Straits song that everybody else ever got a credit on because he said, I want my MTV. So he made a lot of money from that. Money for Nothing became the huge hit, and then, the world, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms took over the world, basically. Some other aspects to know. Then they redid, I think So Far Away was like the 4th single, and then it became a big hit because the album was on fire. But this is a digital recording. It was like one of the first full digital recordings. The vinyl is not what you want to get because they edited the songs. The vinyl has a problem. You could only fit so much time on it. So they edited the songs that they're missing. You need to hear Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms on CD, not on vinyl. It's a full digital recording. Actually says it there, full digital recording. It is meant for CD. The sound is perfection. The remastered one's even better. 5.1 is even better. But here is where you hear the full-length versions. Your Latest Trick is one of the greatest songs. It's edited on the vinyl. They're all edited on the vinyl, pretty much. And it's not a commercial album. That's the ironic part. It had all these hits and sold 1 billion copies. But the only commercial track on there is really Walk of Life and Money for Nothing. That's it. The rest of it is pure Dire Straits, deep, heavy. Listen, sit on a couch and blast the title track Brothers in Arms, and you'll see God. It's one of the most powerful musical songs in history. And I'm not exaggerating. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. It was actually a hit. God knows how that was a hit. But One World, The Man's Too Strong, Right Across the River, Why Worry, Your Latest Trick. These are amazing songs that are not overly commercial. It was just a fluke because of the video. So there you have it, my defense of the greatness of Brothers in Arms from Dire Straits. My number one, most favorite album from 1985. So the top 10 again. 10, Heart. 9, John Fogerty, Centerfold. 8, Bob Dylan, Empire Burlesque. 7, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Southern Accent. 6, Sting, Dream of the Blue Turtles. 5, Linda Thompson's One Clear Moment. 4, John Cougar Mellencamp, Scarecrow. 3, Mick Jagger, She's the Boss. 2, This Is the Sea from the Waterboys. And number 1, none other than Brothers in Arms from Dire Straits. There's one other album I want to mention from 1985. Is this amazing box set from Bob Dylan, Biograph. This is one of my favorite box sets at that time. It was revolutionary at that time. 3 CDs, pretty much all unreleased stuff, live stuff, alternate stuff, and some popular stuff as well. This was a great box set, and this is when box sets really started to happen. You know, this Crossroads from Clapton, I think the Who one, the 20 Years of Rock and Roll, whatever that was. I have that one as well. But this was a stupendous release in '85 as well. So there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think. What did I miss that you love from 1985? Do you agree with my choices? Do you like them? I'd love to hear your comments, as always. As always, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you next time. We will continue Time Capsule, and I hope you're loving the series. I'll see you around.